To continue our second lesson, Lost Spring, Stories from the Childhood, Stolen Childhood. We have come to the second article of Anish Jung, titled as I Want to Drive a Car, in which we have seen Mukesh here, a son of Bengal maker in Firozabad. And in this Firozabad, that every next family, every next person, every next child, every next woman, every next person is engaged in making the bangles. And that is why Anish Jung says in the beginning that the dream of Mukesh looms like mirage. The dream that he has to become a motor mechanic, the dream that he has to become a driver, to drive a car. So it's a kind of illusion, she says, because the conditions that he was living in, that was they are very um, worse one, bad one. So they may not allow children like Mukesh to fulfill their dreams. Later, we have seen that Mukesh has taken Anish Jung to his leaving place, and very proudly he says that his house is renovated. While going to the house of Mukesh, Anish Jung describes the living conditions, the settlement in Firozabad where these poor bangle makers live. The lanes are stinking badly, chalked with the full of garbage, and they are not houses; they are just the shacks and the hovels. Some are half-built shovels, and they are animals and human being. They live together in a primeval state, not at all developed one. This particular colony of the Bengal makers, where the Bengal makers live, a very big area in Firozabad. So this area is a kind of primeval stage living conditions. We have also seen the working conditions of these Bengal makers. They have to work in the dark, dingy cells where there is no light, there is no air, no ventilation, and uh, beyond that, very, very high temperature. So in such kind of situation, that they lose very often their vision, their eyesight. So both the living conditions and the working conditions are very, very hazardous for their health. Now let us go to the house of Mukesh, uh, where Anish Jung is been taken by him. He stops at the door of one such house. Such house means, what do you say? Bangs a wobbly iron door with his foot and pushes it open. As we are told earlier that the houses that in the colonies of the bangle makers having no windows and the doors, those are wobbly one. So in the house of even the Mukesh house is also having a door, an iron door, which is very wobbly, and he pushes it open, and when he bangs it, so it creates the sound because it's very loose one, and the iron that is used, actually a very plate of tin is used, a very thin plate, so that is why it bangs. We enter a half built shack, and he just used the word half built shack and not the house. So in one part of it, thatched with dead grass, is a firewood stove over which sits a large vessel of sizzling spinach leaves. On the round, in large aluminum platters, are more chopped vegetables, See the houses and the conditions there. There are no the cylinders, gas cylinders, or no other mean of fuel, not electric stoves, not even the kerosene stoves. They have to cook their meal on the firewood stove. Such a poor people these are. And the vessel, the utensils they used in the houses. What kind of utensils we use in the houses? Steel, stainless steel, isn't it? Pure steel we use it most of the time. And little bit, sometime even we have the copper, utensils. So here, these people, they are using the cheapest metal, or the utensils made up of the cheap metals, aluminum. The vessels put on that stove was the large one. The plate that they were that is shown there with the vegetable, chopped vegetables, that was also a large one and made up of the aluminum. A frail young woman is cooking the evening meal for the whole family, and there is a woman in the house of Mukesh now, and she is described here as a frail. Frail means very weak, physically weak, very thin, as if malnutrition. She is, though through eyes filled with smoke, she smiles. This is feature of such kind of poor people. Though the full of smoke is there in her eyes while sitting before the stove, firewood stove, because of the smoke in the eyes. The tears comes out, but she is smiling. They have been accustomed to such kind of hardships that they could even smile in such kind of situation. So, through eyes filled with smoke, she smiles. She is the wife of Mukesh's elder brother. Not much older in years, she has begun to command respect as the Bahu, the daughter-in-law of the house. Already in charge of three men, her husband, Mukesh, and their father. When the older man enters, she gently withdraws behind the broken wall and brings her veil closer to her face. As custom demands, daughter-in-law must veil their face before male elements. See, this is their social status. These poor bangle makers, they are still, following the traditions and the customs that those are existing in the patriarchal society. That she has to work for three men, her husband also, her father-in-law also, and brother-in-law Mukesh is there. So a very very young woman, you say young girl, not in very very young in age, not maybe much more elder than the Mukesh. So she has to work for all of them. She has to look after all the household chores. The only lady in the house. There is another lady, a grandmother is there, but she is not supposed to work because she is elder. And who has to work everything in patriarchal society. So the traditions and customs are also very important to hold back such kind of society in the poverty. She has to veil her face before the elders, so she veil. She has to withdraw whenever the elders comes or whenever the guest comes in the house. Even now, also, are women in a decent family also. The family which is called themselves liberal one. In those families also, whenever the guest comes in the house, they withdraw themselves inside. Women, yes, and that is the part of tradition, the custom. That is the part of patriarchy, patriarchal setup in the society. So still following in the Bengal makers family. And the house that Mukesh and his father is saying renovated is actually renovated or not, so great doubt. and Anish Jung is calling it half-built shack. Okay, let us continue to the next part of the uh, lesson. In this case, the elder is an impoverished bangle maker. The father of Mukesh. Impoverished means poor, poor bangle maker. Despite long years of hard labor, first as a tailor, then a bangle maker, he has failed to renovate a house, send his two sons to school. All he has to manage to do is to teach them what he knows, the art of making bangles. This is about his father, Mukesh's father, a very poor, impoverished bangle maker. Earlier, he worked as a tailor also, but somehow he could not continue his work, and again he has to come back to the making bangles. And after working so hard throughout his lifetime, what he succeed to do in his life, no, actually we should not say succeed, because the the only thing that he has done in the life, he says according to him, that he renovated his house, but that is again under a great question mark. It is renovated house, not at all, it's a shack, not house, half built shack. So he failed to renovate the house. He failed to even sending his children to the school. He did not educate his children. And the only thing he could manage to do is to teach his children the art of making bangles. Because right from their childhood, these children are engaged in the work of making bangles, and that is the only thing that they have learnt. Or their forefathers, their parents, sorry, not parents, have taught them. So the bangle makers are not sending their children to the school. They are engaging their children in the work of making bangles so that they could meet both the ends of the line. It is his karam, his destiny, says Mukesh's grandmother. Another lady in the house, she says that it is his karam. Whose karam? Father, Mukesh father's karam. It is destiny. Karma it is. Who has watched her own husband go blind with the dust from polishing the glass of bangles. The grandfather of Mukesh, he went blind, and grandmother has the witness of it. And she what believes that it is his karma, it is his destiny, and not only his destiny, the destiny of all bangle makers. And what she says, see what she continues, can a God-given lineage ever be broken? She implies. Born in the caste of bangle makers, they have seen nothing but bangles. The caste of bangle makers. And to be born in the caste of bangle makers is destined. This is what grandmother believes. Or the people of bangle makers society, they too believe that it is their destiny, it is their karma, it is because of their own deeds that they have been born in the caste of bangle makers, and that is why they are destined to making the bangles only, and not only that, they are destined to go blind also eventually. So this is what is their belief. In other words, they have surrendered to their destiny. you know there are very good quotations that we are often speak of, that we say that we ourselves are the creator of our own destiny. It is easier said than done for the people like bangle makers. For us to say it is very easy, but for the society like rat pickers, for the society like bangle makers, It's very ironical and opposite of it. They cannot create their own destiny. Actually, they have surrendered themselves in the hands of destiny. So that is why that the grandmother is saying that, can a God-given lineage ever be broken? She implies. So they have seen nothing but bangles in the life, in the house, in the yard, in every other house, every other yard, every street in Ferozabad, everywhere, everywhere bangles only and nothing else. Spirals of bangles, sunny gold, paddy green, royal blue, pink, purple, every color born out of the 7 colors of the rainbow lie in the mounds and in unkempt yards. So in the yards, they could see the bangles only and the spirals of the bangles, and the yards are unkempt, not labeled one. So in the mounds, in the heaps, they could see bangles only. They are piled up. Even on the four-wheeled handcarts outside the house, on the road, on the streets, you could see that these handcarts are pushed by the young men along the narrow lanes of the shanty town. So you could see everywhere bangles only. So let us go to the next part. In dark hutments next to the lines of flames of flickering oil lamps, sit boys and girls with their fathers and mothers, welding pieces of colored glass into the circle of bangles. See, when the work starts of making the bangles, all together the entire family, mother, father, their son, their daughter, that all the children. So whoever there in the house, in their family, they all sit together and they do the various tasks of making bangles. Everybody works, and they have to work with the flickering lamps, oil lamps. And before the lamps, boys and girls sit, and they weld the glasses. And a very beautiful line is coming here now. Not beautiful. I should not say beautiful. Okay, a very eye-opening. See what she says that Anish Jung writes here. Their eyes are more adjusted to the dark than to the light outside. That is why they often end up losing their eyesight before they become adults. See how Anish Jung writes that the people who have got accustomed to the darkness, they cannot be adjusted with the light. The people who have got accustomed to the poverty, maybe if suddenly they become rich, they could not adjust to it. So their eyes, they are adjusted. They have their eyes are have got the habit to be in the darkness. The light they may not bear it, so they will have pain. It will hurt. The light will hurt them. So that is why their eyes are more adjusted to the dark than the light outside. And that is why they often end up, and this is the reason that always they have to live in the darkness. And the light comes whenever the oil lamps they are working before, in the hot furnaces they are working. So that light that hurts the eyes, and eventually they lose their eyesight, before becoming adults. See, pathetic, very pathetic. These children who are working before the oil lamps, the children who are working in these hot furnaces, in the light of the furnaces, so even before becoming the adult, they lose their eyesight. And this is the worst thing in making the bangles. Let us go to the next paragraph. Savita, a young girl in a pink dress, sits alongside an elderly woman, soldiering the pieces of glass. Soldiering is a welding kind of thing. As her hands move mechanically like the tongs of the machine, I wonder if she knows the sanctity of the bangles she helps make. Isn't it, one correct? The girls they are making the bangles, those who are very young girls, they are making the bangles, they are soldering the pieces of the glass. Do they know the importance of the bangles in the life of women? The holiest, the most sanctity article that the woman wear is bangle. When in our Indian tradition, when the husband dies, there is a tradition that we remove the bangles, or the you know it is seen that the women with widows, no widows, they don't wear the bangles, colorful bangles, colorful clothes even. So in even wedding ceremonies, the importance of this bangle is very much. And all the people, women, those are the married women are, they are gifted the bangles in the marriages. So it is kind of a symbol that they are married one. So Anish Jung is putting the question whether these young girls know the sanctity of these bangles. I do also think that they do not know. They are unaware. Young men, how could they know? See what she says. It symbolizes an Indian woman's suhag, auspiciousness in marriage. It will dawn on her suddenly one day when her head is draped with red veil, her hands dyed red with henna, red bangles rolled onto her wrist. Isn't it? This henna and the veil, the gungat and the kangan and the bangles. Now these are actually the very holy things, very auspicious things in the marriages. So when she will become the bride, when she will getting married, suddenly she will come to know, oh, this important these bangles are that they have made throughout their life, even in their childhood. So she will then become a bride, like the old woman beside her to become one many years ago. She still has bangles on her wrist, but no light in her eyes. She too has lost the eyesight. See, Mukesh grandfather has lost his eyes. Mukesh grandmother has lost her eyes. Maybe Mukesh's father may lose, and many persons like them. Every next person is losing their brightness of their eyes. So this is the situation of bangle makers. Okay, let us go towards the next paragraph. एक वक्त शेर भर खाना भी नहीं खाया, she says. That old lady says in a voice drained of joy. See how pathetic it is. A woman, a man, the bangle makers, they are working so hard in such a kind of hazardous situation, sacrificing their eyesight. And even after working so hard, what do they get? Not even a single meal in lifetime. Entire lifetime. Single meal, full meal, sorry, paid for khana. That also they could not get, even after working so hard. She has not enjoyed even full one full meal in her entire lifetime. That's what she has reached. It is said that uh, it is said that you will reap what you sow, so shall you reap. They are showing their hard work, but nothing is rich, not even full meal in her entire lifetime. Her husband, an old man with the flowing beard, says, I know nothing except bangles. All I have done is make a house for the family to live in. But that is also under the question that whether he had made the house, decent house to live in. No, not at all. Hearing him, one wonders if he has achieved what many have failed in their lifetime. So it is his achievement because he might be saying that it is his achievement because many others have failed to do that even. What Mukesh fathers has done, other Bengal makers could not do. Because of that, maybe he is saying so. So she wonders, and his young wonders that if he has achieved what many have failed in their lifetime, he has a roof over his head. So this in paragraph we have seen that all their conditions, their poverty has made them so pathetic, their life, that they don't have good house to live in, decent house to live in. They don't have full meal to eat. They have to lose their eyesight. When they will lose, nobody knows. The children, some children, they will lose even before becoming the adult. Some people, they may lose their eyesight in the adulthood, in their adult age. And here we have seen the grandmother and grandfather, both of them have lost their eyesight in the old age. Means in lifetime, you are in, once one day you are going to lose your eyesight. That's sure, and that is your destiny. These people believe that as their destiny. Let us go further. Now the question, see, let us see the next paragraph. Okay. The cry of not having money to do anything except carry on the business of making bangles, not even enough to eat, rings in every home. The young men echo the lament of their elders. Little has moved time, it seems, in Firouzabad. Years of mind-numbing toil have killed all initiative and the ability to train. See, now we have come to the point which is very, very important. That why these people are trapped in such a bad condition. In the beginning, in the first article, also Anish Jung has started her article by asking the question that why do you do this? And the answer of Sahib Alam was that he had nothing to do, nothing else to do. And many times we also think that why do they do such kind of works? Why drag pickers, do that such kind of work? Why particular coolies they do the coolies work? Or why, these poor laborers, why do they do such kind of works? Nobody wants to do, the substandards and the hazardous, the difficult, hard labor work. It is there somewhere helplessness. And what these people are saying, there is only one thing, that is the cry of having no. They says that they don't have money even to eat. Remember that lady was saying that एक पल का पेट भर खाना भी नहीं in her entire lifetime. So the young men and the old elders as well as young men, even young men also, they lament the same thing. They echoes the lament of elders. They repeat what elders says, that they don't have money. The cry of not having money. Remember this phrase. The cry of not having money to do something else. So that rings everywhere, in every home of bangle makers. And because of this, little has moved with time. Little, a little and the little. The little means the specific amount of something. A little means a very meager amount of something, and little means equal to nothing. Little has moved with time means nothing has moved with time. In Firozabad, it says. So Years before, these bangle makers were there working in Bangles, living in poor conditions, and still they are living in poor conditions. So, now another very important line we are going to read. Years of mind-numbing toil have killed all initiative and the ability to dream. Very important. We should we should think of it. If you observe the people who do the hard work, hard toil, take an example of coolies. Take an example of the people working in the mines and the farms. So those who are carrying the heavy works, or that takes the great physical strength in, so this kind of toil kills the initiative abilities and ability to dream. Their mind becomes numb, insensitive. They cannot think. They become so tired because of such kind of work. Their mind becomes so tired because of it. So when you have the mental tiredness, your mind becomes insensitive. Your mind cannot think. Your mind cannot dream. Your mind cannot take initiatives. Such a hard work, such a tiredness, such an exhaustion they had to go through. They have to go through. So that is why here Anish Jung is describing the rightly she is using the right phrase, mind-numbing toil, and it kills the initiativity and the ability to dream, and this is happening with the Bengal makers. So mind-numbing toil have killed their ability to dream, their initiative skill, and their cry of having no money. Young and elder, the same thing. Their habit of saying so. So all these things, because of these factors, there is no change seen in Firozabad over the time. And this is carried generation to generation. Coming to the next paragraph, let us see what Anish Jung says. Why not organize yourselves into a cooperative? I ask a group of young men who have fallen into vicious circles of middlemen, who trapped their fathers and forefathers. Cooperative. What is cooperative? Cooperative is a kind of organization in which every person engaged is a member of that particular organization. Owner, not member, owner. He has his share. So we have the cooperative societies here, cooperative banks here, cooperative mills, cooperative factories, even the industries. Even now, all the companies are also cooperative. So the people engaged, associated with that company, is the shareholder of it, is the owner of it. So whatever the benefits company gets, automatically the shareholders get, or that member of that cooperative society gets. So why don't you organize in cooperative? Asked an agents to the group of young bangle makers. And she again mentions that this group of young men, they were fallen into the vicious circles of middlemen. And these middlemen, they trapped not only these young men, they trapped these middlemen, they trapped their fathers, their forefathers. And from generation, these things are going on. That middlemen are there and there, they are going on trapping their these bangle makers in their vicious circle. Now, what is this vicious circle? We'll come to know later. See, even if we get organized, we are the one who will be hauled by the police, beaten and dragged to jail for doing something illegal, they say. Organizing in cooperative is illegal. These men, that he is saying that even if we get organized, that police comes and drag them and put into the jail and beat them, calling that they are doing something illegal. Is it illegal to get organized in cooperative? Not at all. It is very much legal. But there are some legal procedures, the legal documentation, legal registrations that need to be done. And it seems that nobody from this bangle maker knows the law, knows the legal procedures, or they are unaware of all these formalities. So that is why the police take advantages of it and they follow. But why the police is so much interested in this one? Maybe they are corrupt, isn't it? They are given the bribe by these middlemen, by these industrialists, by these owners of the bangle making factories. So again, see what it says there. There is no leader among them, no one who could help them see things differently. Their father are as tired as they are. So they talk endlessly in spirals that moves from poverty to apathy, apathy to greed to injustice. Listening to them, I see uh, two distinct words. One of the family caught in the web of poverty, burdened by the stigma of caste in which they are born. The other vicious circle of saukars, the middlemen, the policemen, the keepers of law, and the bureaucrats and the politicians. Together, they have imposed the baggage on the child that he cannot put down. Anish Jung is very much concerned about the children. Here, this paragraph ends with saying that together they have imposed the baggage on the child, the burden on the child. They hook up the bangle makers when they are in young age, when they are children. And once you hooked up, it is very difficult for them to get out of it. So they trap them in their young age. And that goes on by generation to generation. So, what are the factors that they are, why they could not organize in the cooperative? That police brings them in jail and beat it, charging them by saying they are doing something illegal. And there is no leader who could, guide and lead the things in right direction. There is nobody else to help them how to in getting organization of the cooperative, and there is nobody among themselves to see the things differently, to do something different things. So they becomes the routine. They follow whatever they have before them without organizing in cooperative. So they simply do their labor work. So no different approach is there. Young and old both, they are so tired because of this physical work that they cannot do anything else. So their talk goes in spiral. They speak of poverty, they have no money, their apathy, they are not interested to do anything else. They are so disinterested to do anything because their experience sometimes maybe they tried but they failed it. So again they have to come back for the bangle makings. We are told that Mukesh father was a tailor earlier, but he could not maybe run his business of tailoring. So again he has to come back to the work of bangle making. So apathy, the apathetic approach is there on the side of bangle makers. Greed of these sahukars, these middlemen, these businessmen is there. Injustice, all these people are doing injustice to these children. So all these factors are responsible to force these young bangle makers to work in bangle making only. So again, Hanish Jung continues that she sees that there are two distinct worlds in the life of bangle makers. One is of their family, which is caught in the web of poverty and which has got the stigma of caste. That is very important stigma of caste. They think that they are born in the caste of Bengal makers, and that is why they have to do this work only. This is a very important factor. And another world is the vicious circle of middlemen, sahukars, police, bureaucrats, keepers of law. Bureaucrats means the administrative officers, IAS, IFS in the countries. So administrators, the collectors, no, the SPs. So all these are the bureaucrats. So together they are hand in hand, and they all these people they don't want these Bengal makers should do something else. If they started doing something else, um, the production of the Bengal makers will be low and the benefit will be low, so they will be at loss. So the police and the bureaucrats they are bribed by the industrialists, saukars. So this middleman. So everybody wants this. Everybody forces this. Everybody doesn't want this Bengal makers to do something else. So they are caught in this two distinct world. Anisha says, before he is aware, she continues, Anisha continues, he accepts it as naturally as his father. He is talking about even children. He is talking about the Mukesh. So before becoming aware that he has to do something else, before becoming aware that this, the middleman, saukars, and the vicious circle is there, and traditions that are very not beneficial. This burden, the baggage of this hard work, the baggage of this bangle making, this work is being carried by them. And to do anything else would mean to dare. Whoever it is, young men, the old men, or the young children. To do something else other than making bangle means to dare. And daring is not part of his growing up. Anijan writes. Anijan writes about Mukesh that daring is not part of his growing up. She's not just talking about Mukesh. She is talking about the children of bangle makers. Though Mukesh insists that he wanted to become motor mechanic, he wanted to learn driving the car, but she has the doubt, Anishjan has the doubt. Very soon he may lose his hope. Let us see. So, in the growing of the children of the bangle makers, daring is not part. So when I sense a flash of it in Mukesh, so she shares it that he is daring. He dares to say that he wants to drive a car. He wants to become a mechanic. So when she senses a flash of it in Mukesh, see, I'm cheered. She becomes happy. I want to be a motor mechanic. He repeats. He will go to the garage and learn it. He says, but the garage is long away from his home. I will walk. He insists. When Anishjan says that garage is long away, she insists that I will walk. See how confident and how optimistic Mukesh is in his approach. Very optimistic. He said, I will walk. So he was not going to surrender himself into the destiny. This is how he is different from the other bangle makers, the elders and the old men. He is different. He doesn't want to surrender himself to bangle making or to his destiny. He wants to do something else. He wants to become motor mechanic. He wants to learn to drive a car. He wants to go to garage now. I will walk, he says. See, Vanish Jung puts a very question, another question is there, very strange question. Do you also dream of flying his plane? She asked. Flying a plane, aeroplane. He is suddenly silent. No, he says, staring at the ground. Here, he felt embarrassed. Driving a car, maybe he had seen some cars very often. So that is why that wish and desire came to the children's mind. How do we dream? How no, the desires to eat chocolates. It comes when we see it, somebody eating. designed to eat ice cream. Why I'm talking about the chocolate and ice cream? That this is what the children wants, no? Some children, they want to have the bikes and the cars, the toys of bikes and the cars, you know, and even dolls for the girls. Why do they like these toys very much? Because they see somewhere, maybe on the TV, maybe just outside their house, that good cars and good bikes and the dolls, beautiful girls they see, beautifully the artists, the heroines in the movies they see. So whatever they see and they like, they want it. They want it. So here, in the case of Mukesh, also the same thing is done. That he had seen a lot of cars, maybe in Razabad, and he wanted to drive car. So in his small murmur, there is an embarrassment that has not yet turned into regret. There was embarrassment. Even Sahib was also feeling embarrassment when he was saying that he had nothing to do else. He was looking away. Here, he is also feeling the embarrassment, but over what? Over not able to think of flying the plane. And of course, he cannot think, but he is not in regret. He is saying that, oh, if not aeroplane, he can drive the car. He will learn to drive the car. So he is content to dream of cars that he sees hurtling down the streets of town. And the last line of this chapter, few aeroplanes fly over Firozabad. As she started, she ended so. In the beginning, Anish Jung writes that Mukesh insists to be a motor mechanic. She started with the optimistic approach of Mukesh, but she interpreted it that it could be an illusion. His dream looms like mirage. And here again, in the last line, she said that few aeroplanes fly over Japan. Why Mukesh could not dream of flying plane? Because there are no aeroplanes flying over the Firozabad. Actually, here, it's not just a matter of aeroplanes. Aeroplanes, they are the symbol of hope. They are the sign of hopes. So the conditions in Firozabad among the Bengal makers are so that Mukesh, the children like Mukesh, they may not fulfill their dreams. That is why few hope, few. Just now we talked a little, the little. Few means no, nothing, negative, equal to nothing. So no aeroplane fly over Firozabad. No hope is there in Firozabad to change the conditions. I hope that you understood well both the articles, and we will see the themes of these chapters in detail in the next period. Until then, we'll stop here. Goodbye. And in the next period, we'll see the themes and the characters. Thank you. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.